This is the second double wedding ring quilt, and I wanted to show you the design I decided to put into this one. This is different from the ones that I had drawn out on the plastic. This quilt is pieced really well, and we've got all of the pieces are lining up. You can see here I can go by the seam lines and find the center of the rings. So I'm using that to draw a square in this open space here, and I have a air and water soluble ink pen. This is a fine point, and I don't really know who makes it because there's no brand name on the pen, but I believe I bought this at Joann's a while back. So I also want to do a 1/4 inch inside, so that there is some space between the designs on the outside and what I'm doing on the inside. And that's just something I like to do. You don't have to do this with this design at all. And I'm drawing this because our hopping foots, at least mine has, it's a 1/4 inch foot. And I'll pull the machine here. Make sure we have some light. It's a 1/2 inch foot, and so theoretically there should be a 1/4 inch from the needle all the way around. Well, I have found that there is a 1/4 inch from the needle to the back, but not to the front. There's not as much space to the front. It's off a little bit, and there's nothing I can do about that, because I can move the foot, I can angle it a little bit from side to side, but I can't do anything front to back. So that's just the way this hopping foot is made. So I'm going to draw this so that I get a little bit more accurate measurement there. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to make some marks. I'm going to go 1 inch and 1.5 inches on each edge of the square, so in 1 inch and 1.5 inches on each side. I'm going to do this all the way around. Now if you are good at judging the distance without using your ruler, you know, you don't need these marks, but I've tried it on the first block without doing as many marks on it, and it was just a little bit off. It was off enough that I noticed it, so I decided just to go ahead and start marking. Now marking like this will take a lot more time in getting the quilt done, but that's kind of the price you pay when you want to do something like this. Now I need to find the center of the square for the design that's going in there, and it's also going to help me line up here. I want to go from the point there to the center, and I want to mark down 1 inch and 2 inches, and that'll make sense here in just a minute. So let me go ahead and mark those. And one more, and then I'll have this done. Okay, now I want to draw some triangles, so I'm just going to meet these points up. So this 1 inch from the top to the 1 inch mark on the side, and then we're going to combine the 2 inch to the 1.5 inches. And we're going to go do the same thing on this side. And once again, if you can do this just using your ruler that you use for the quilting, then you don't need those marks. And once again, I did try that and I wasn't happy with the way it turned out, so I'm going to be marking. So this quilt is going to take me some time to get done. So I wanted to go ahead and show you how I'm doing this block, because I might not have this quilt done in a week's time like I was planning. So and one more. Oops, that was the wrong one, so I'm going to have to ignore that mark. And if you do like I did and you did the wrong mark, you can just, you know, do a little line like this over it so you know not to quilt that, or this is just obvious that it's the wrong mark, so I really wouldn't have had to do either one. But you could also, which actually I marked that wrong too. This needs to be here. Sometimes just going over it twice will help, or you could use some water on a Q-tip and just dab that out. Okay, so now I have all my markings on there. I'll put my pin aside, and I'm going to go ahead and get out my my little ruler here and use whatever flat ruler works for you. And I'm going to start here with the square. And I'm going to start in the corner. And I'm going to do both of these, the outside and these triangles in the same pass. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that without stopping and starting. So I'm going to go to the second dot, and then I'm going to backtrack to the first. And then I'm going to follow this line up. And then go down on this side. Then we're going to go back to this second dot, and then we're going to complete this triangle here. Now I have all the stitching done between this dot and the corner, so I don't need to go back. I can just go forward, and then I'm going to just stitch over that area right there. So we've got that done. Then we'll do the same on this side. Go to the second dot, backtrack to the first dot, and then go up to the top of the triangle. Come down. Do the second triangle. And then go all the way across. And once you do this a couple of times, you can speed up and you won't be going this slow the entire time. Get some more light over here. Okay, now I'm going to do this inner square, and I don't want to stop and start, so I'm going to do a little trick here. I'm just going to stitch right from this outside edge all the way across. And then I'm going to stop at the corner. And I could go all the way to the end and just continue that, but I'm just wanting to kind of sneak in without stopping and starting. And this is great to do on your own quilts. And if you have a customer quilt, you probably don't want to do that unless you consult with them first and find out if that's okay with them. So then all I have is just this little extra couple of stitches right there. And I'm just going to leave them. I'm not going to take them out. I'm just going to leave them there. Now for the inside, I'm going to do a feather. I just felt like doing feathers today, so I'm just going to do the feather that all starts in one point here. So let's secure my stitches, and we'll do the formal feather. to stop and cut my threads and then continue on. There we go. Now I've got a little bit of a gap up here between this first feather and this one, and so I'm going to close up that gap. So I'm going to just drop the needle down where that feather ended, and then we're just going to stitch down and then back up. And that closed that feather. And there we have it. There's the design for this double wedding ring quilt. Okay, I'm just going to do a ribbon candy in here. Okay, that went fast. And I'm going to do continuous curve in the rings. And then I'm going to do some cross hatching in those 4 patches, and I'll show you that when I advance the quilt. Okay, for the 4 patches, I'm just going to do cross hatch in here. And just going from corner to corner all the way across, and then I'll be going also down this way. So I'm just going to use my little ruler. And then I'm just going to stitch in the ditch wherever I need to. And there we go, that's done. So that won't take long. And there are a lot of straight lines in the quilting, but we also have the feathers to give it some curved lines. So I think that'll be pretty balanced overall. So I think it'll look okay. We've got the straight lines here, and then we have the straight lines in the main part of the block. And then we have the ribbon candy in the oval shapes. So I think we've got a pretty good balance, and I think the quilting is pretty balanced as far as denseness. So I think that will all work out pretty well.
Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my newest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.